Welcome to the Tech for Life channel, and I am Alex bringing you a video today. I'm bringing you a video of a $900 to $950 PC build, and I know the title says $900, but I really wanted to address the fact that this PC is a $900 PC, but also it's not exactly $900. When I say $900, I'm going to be off by a few. It's just, even numbers, it just makes it easier, because if I called it a $922.50 PC build, I don't know. I'd like 900 better. Leave a comment if you feel differently, or if you want to tell me that I'm stupid. Either way, it's up to you. So, this is a $900 to $950 PC build with the cooler, the Hyper 212 Evo, which I wasn't planning on including originally, but I am at this point. It does come out to be $915. That is including rebates. Without rebates, it's somewhere near the $950 mark, so somewhere around $50 worth of rebates. But if you're like me and you apply for the rebates, most of the time they're a solid way to earn back some of the money that you spent. I appreciate companies that actually honor the rebate and don't just accept it and then never give you the money. So, that being said, this is a $900 to $950 PC build. Let's get straight into it, and we will start off with the case. So, here is the case that we're going to be using for this build. This is the Corsair Carbide Series 100R mid-tower case. There's not much I can say about this case except for the fact that, well, it's black and it has a side window. I personally appreciate a case with a side window because when I put together a PC, I'd like other people to see it, If I put in the work to put it together, I want other people to be able to see what I can do. That's just me. Maybe you don't like that, and if you don't, that's okay. There's many other cases cheaper than this, more expensive than this. The case is really up to you, but I just like this case for its simplicity and the side window, and the fact that it's made by Corsair, which is a good company, especially when it comes to cases. So, there is also the silent edition of this case, if you don't appreciate noise and also don't want that side window. This will make your PC a little bit quieter if you don't like fan noise or that type of thing. So, if you're gaming, it's going to be a little bit quieter when the fans spin up, but if you really don't care about that, I would go with getting that side window. That looks really nice in my opinion. So, for 50 bucks, that's a pretty good case. Yeah. And also, it's got USB 3 on the front, really nice addition, and I don't know, it's just got a sleek look to it. It supports water cooling, apparently. They won't exactly show you all of it, but clearly it supports water cooling. So yeah, let's move on to the RAM next. We have Team Zark 16 gigs. It's 1600 megahertz. It's $50. You really can't go wrong with RAM. It's 16 gigs of RAM for 50 bucks. I can't really see going wrong with that. It's got 5. Oh no, there's a 2. There's a 2-star review right there. Bricked after 2 months. Well, that's okay, because most of the time, if you have a 5-star review on something, it's pretty good. And out of 6, only one of them said something bad. I'd take those odds. So yeah, like I said, 50 bucks for RAM. If you want it in some other colors here, it comes in some other colors. Oh, it looks like fuchsia. No, that's blue. Look at that. That is blue, except it shows black. Well, that's okay. Oh, no, it wants me. Oh, it only comes in 8 gigs if it's in blue. Who knew? Well, actually, I guess they did. Oh, there we go. See? It also comes in red. I wasn't lying. Comes in other colors. So yeah, comes in red, black, guess not blue, unless you want 8 gigs, and then you can buy 2 of those. But, also comes in white. That's, maybe you're into that white-black look. Who knows? This also only comes in 8 gigs, apparently. But, you can buy 2 sets of that. So that's the other thing I wanted to mention here is you can go for 8 gigs of RAM. You don't need 16, but in a build like this, I would recommend 16. That's just me. Again, obviously, it's up to you, the final buyer, but I would go with 16 gigs of RAM. Games are increasingly using more and more RAM, and over time, I think 16 gigs will end up being the standard. So if you want a little bit more future-proof build, here you go, 16 gigs. Okay, let's move on to the power supply. So, I did the calculation, and you really shouldn't need anything more than a 500 watt power supply for this build. Now, I did these calculations with a GTX 1070. So, you might need a bit more for something like the 980 Ti that I want to go with. Oops, spoiler alert. But I really don't think you'll need any more than a 500 watt power supply. As long as you're not like overclocking or using liquid nitrogen to cool your PC and overclock the crap out of it until it lights on fire. If you're not going to be doing any of that, then I think a 500 watt power supply is just okay. 50 bucks, but here we go, right here. Love this. 20 bucks for a rebate. That, in my opinion, that's a steal right there. 30 bucks, 500 watt power supply, made by Corsair. Out of 700 reviews, well, sorry, 735, you got 4 eggs, or 4 stars, 4 eggs, whatever you want to call it. That's a pretty solid power supply, in my opinion, if you can pull those kind of numbers, So, tried and true, I guess you could say, of the 700 people who reviewed it. So yeah, 30 bucks, 500 watts, good to go. Next on the list, we have a WD Blue 1TB desktop hard drive, 7200 RPM. It's literally like as standard as you can possibly get. Like, there is no more standard than this. But that's okay because it works, and once again, 4 egg review out of 1,600. So, really, if you can go wrong with this, I don't know, got powers or something? So yeah, 1TB WD Blue 7200 RPM hard drive. You can't go wrong with that. It'll take a little bit longer to load games than an SSD, but if you're going for raw performance, hard drive is not going to make that FPS number go down. So I would recommend this as your everything drive. That's what I did, and that's what I recommend to anyone building a PC. So here we go, we move on to the graphics card. My favorite part of any PC build is the graphics card. Now, this is kind of interesting. I went with a 980 Ti, and people might be saying, hey, wait, why didn't you go with the GTX 1070? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the GTX 980 Ti gives you almost exactly the same performance as a 1070. Maybe even more in some scenarios, depending on how the two are clocked. And in some instances like this, it's cheaper. This is a non-reference cooler. It's a great cooler at that. I've used these in the past, and they keep the card nice and cool. They're just amazingly cool, especially for the tube fan design. And it looks nice to boot. So for 410 bucks compared to the cost of a GTX 1070 right now, if you can even find one, it just seems to make sense to go with a 980 Ti. Again, that's my opinion. And for those who say, well, what if I want a 1070? Well, here you go. Moving on to the processor, we have the Intel Core i7 4770K. So some people, and I'm sure it's coming, will be saying, well, why didn't you use the 4790K? And there's a very good reason for that, at least in my opinion. The 4770K is a much better deal. For the price of $250, it's the price of an i5, and you have all 8 of those threads. Granted, this is the processor, well, the same architecture as the 4790K. It does have a bit of a thermal issue. It gets a little bit hotter. There are ways to actually fix that, but In my opinion, this is just a better deal. You have all 8 threads versus the 4 of an i5, and it's only 250 bucks. So yeah, and they're all over eBay actually for that kind of price. And don't buy this, please. Just whatever you do, don't do that. Don't do that right there. But yeah, so 240, 250. That probably has shipping. Don't do that. Buy the one for 250 with no shipping. It's a good idea. So yeah, that's what I would recommend for the processor. Almost the same performance as a 4790K, with the exception of the 4790K is certainly clocked a little bit higher, but same architecture. In that respect, it's almost the same processor. So yeah. Moving on, we have the motherboard. I chose the MSI Z97 PCMate version of the LGA 1150 socket. So it is Z97. You can overclock, but I do not believe that this motherboard supports SLI. In this build, SLI just didn't really fit. In, again, my opinion, SLI did not fit this build because of the price point. If you want the best performance for this price, you don't get a motherboard with SLI support. For 50 bucks, this motherboard can overclock your processor, and it can fit any graphics card you want. That's all I'm looking for in a motherboard. It fits the RAM, it fits the processor, it fits the graphics card. That's all I need. So, for 50 bucks, I'd say go for it. That's what I would do. Again, this is on eBay, so it might be gone, but there's other deals. I've seen a couple of these come up, actually, for $50, so that's what I would do. It's up to you. And finally here we have the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo. That's literally the go-to heatsink for 30 bucks. I mean, it performs so well for that $30 price point. It really doesn't make much sense to go with another cooler unless all of a sudden some amazing cooler comes down in price to like $0, then obviously go for that. But yeah, no, I've used this cooler many times, and it works absolutely flawlessly. Cools my CPU down great. You can get some good overclocks out of it, especially for what it is. For $30, I would just not recommend any other cooler at this point. So yeah, that is my build. Like I said, it comes out to be somewhere around that $915 mark with rebates. Or 920, I'm not exactly sure on that. And without rebates, it comes out to be somewhere around that 950-ish mark. So that wraps up my build. I hope you enjoyed, and leave me a comment down below saying, if you would do anything different. I would really like to know if any parts that, you think you could change or you think you would change to get better performance at a cheaper cost. And I would absolutely like to know that. So put that down in the comments below. Like this video, and if you don't like it, then please don't dislike it. I don't understand why you would do that. I'd much rather have, like, your support, So if you don't like the video, shoot me an email or leave me a comment down below telling me why you didn't. Because this is a startup channel. I am new to this, and I need your guys' support. So, like I said, like the video if you liked it. If you don't like it for any reason at all, please leave me a comment down below telling me why. That's it. This is Tech for Life, and my name is Alex, and I'm signing out.